Hello everybody and welcome back. We are here once again at the North Line Raceway. Of course, that is Jimmy Attard's racetrack that we have had so much fun filming at before. We're here doing another tutorial, an often requested topic on our videos, the little warning lights that are going all the way around the track. You know, we're here to talk about how they're made and really what makes them tick. So let's go over to the workshop and see if Jimmy happens to be working on one.
Yeah, I had to do my homework and try to remember how this all went together. I did it so long ago. Ryan, these are the LEDs.
Yes.
And they don't look like the LEDs of today because I got these at Frankenmuth. They were very expensive. They were the first LED Christmas lights that came out. But I took advantage of their shape. This is where I get the green from. This is where I get the red, and this is where I get the yellow.
Right.
And I know they work off of 5 volts, and that's what our power supply supplies.
Mm-hmm.
I take the assembly of the LED out of the socket, and this is what I get right here.
Yes.
Now, can you give me one of those Legos? So I began by, if you can look in there, you can see 6 holes in there. They correspond to the
divots up there.
The tit.
Yeah.
So I drilled it out, and according to my notes, I did it very slowly from 30 seconds to 15/64 because I didn't want to crack this unit. And then I milled all this out and hollowed it out. So I ended up with a box with holes in it that fit this socket. But before I put the socket through, I took the LED and I straightened out the pins and I tinned them with solder. So once that went back together and this went through, I ended up with 6 LEDs, red, red, yellow, yellow, green, green, and their wires sticking up like this.
I see.
And I drilled a small hole in the side, and I soldered a common ground, which was black, to all of them, a yellow line for the 2 yellow lights, a green line for the 2 green lights, and a red line for the 2 red lights. So I end up with 4 wires coming out of this.
Yes.
So I built, don't quote me, I forgot, about 30 of them I think I have on the track. And I had all these assembled. Of course, I painted this flat black to begin with before I even started wiring it up. So I took this assembly with the 4 wires on it. Before I show you what the finished model of this warning light looked like, I decided on using a paint sample from the hardware. That was a deep green. It looked best, right? And I made a model, what's the word I'm looking for? A gauge.
Yes.
To make these all alike. And what happens is this goes on this and folds like a hood.
Ah.
Let me show you what that looks like.
Yeah, come on over. Let's go see.
Again, this Lego block, we did this a video or so ago, looks like that, with the light bulbs or the LEDs sticking up through them. See, the block is really back here. You see, I'm going to tip this so that, let me get it off that magnet. That magnet is really strong.
That's something I was going to ask about.
It's on a magnet. You know what this is? This is a car brake line.
Oh.
That I just bent, and I sent the 4 wires through it. Can't see it. I did such a good job. I can't even see the wires. And they come out the bottom. You see there?
Yep, there they are. Yeah.
And that magnet is strong enough to hold this steel brake tubing real stiff.
Right.
But enough that it can give.
Yes, of course.
So the wires extend down through the track. Let me put that back. Man, that magnet is strong.
Yeah.
Okay, so it always points that way for cars coming. You see that I put them all where prototypically they would be as cars come into a turn.
Right.
There, here, here, as cars come around this bend. There's one up there, you see, just before, that's the last turn before the straightaway. And as you go down, at the starting line, you can see lots of green lights because the Formula One cars get the go signal right there from the main straightaway. And if you follow around the track, you can see them. Now, you can't see me, but you can hear me. I'm up here underneath this LED. And I had some buddies that were actually one friend who's colorblind. You know who you are. That could not tell red from green on the racetrack. So I put these big LEDs up there, and when he comes over, I don't filter it. You can't miss that.
Yeah.
Right.
And he can tell red from green on this side. Push the button, Mark, Brian. See, that's red.
Yep.
And then, no, yeah, that's yellow. And let go, and it detents to green.
Yes.
That's the circuitry I showed you underneath. And then, if you notice, I have to do this because it's too bright for most people.
Right. Now, quick question about those lights. What did you make the actual lights themselves out of?
There's the Christmas spotlights
Oh.
that you use on your porch to make your porch glow.
Oh.
Yeah, they're really bright.
Yes, they
The
are.
wiring for that goes up through the ceiling, in through a hole in this support post,
Right.
down the support post, and underneath. And I just wanted to mix it up. I didn't want to make them all the exact same
Right.
way. You know what I mean? This is another big one on this side, and again, they all have that magnet, and because the two magnets attract each other, even if they're tipped, they go straight again. You see that?
Mm. Again, all magnetized.
There's
Good,
another
it's a
one
good
there.
tip for those who are
Yeah.
looking to replicate this
Now,
stuff.
when I stage a race, I turn the green lights off, and if I do this, the green lights flash, and these bright yellow staging lights come on.
Mm.
That's because we stop the cars over here and stage races here, and we follow a pace car down. Pace car goes into the pits.
Yes.
The other cars come around, and if they all come out together, we go green. I got control right here.
Right.
So it's a solid green at this point,
Yes.
all around the track.
Perfect. So, while we're over here, I wondered if we could talk a little bit about some of that wiring that was behind that, those lights there. You were talking about in one of our other videos that you had a housing to cover it up, and that it was going through was it a plastic drinking or a plastic stirring straw or something like that?
In this case, there's only one red, two yellows, and one green. When we use a Lego block this big, we have two red, two yellow, two green. Regardless, the back is hogged out, the block is drilled out, and then you can see the LED connections coming in there. And there's one common ground, there's 4 wires going to the inside of this. One common ground, one red to the red light, one yellow to the yellow light, and a green to the green light. And they come out a hole in the side of the Lego block. And then I glue on a patch in the back here. We took it off so that you can see the details on the inside. And this guy hasn't been stained or painted yet, but it goes down what amounts to a stirring straw. You can see there's 2 holes in it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And this fine gauge wire heads down. And because it's LED, it runs on millivolts. I mean, it's very, very slight. I don't know exactly what it is. And if you can shoot down here, you'll see that it's held in with a magnet, and I have enough excess that I could pull this out and work on it if I needed to. But the fact that 2 magnets attract each other, even if I turn this, it goes back to the exact same way, because the 2 magnets have polarity, and they snap together.
And then of course there's the front.
Yeah, there's the front of it. Ryan, would you hit the yellow button, please?
There we
So
go.
that's the flashing of the yellow. And when he releases it, the circuit that my son Andy designed, I'll show it to you on the board, so what's the word I'm looking for? Reverts to green. Reverts to green. How's that sound? And then if you push the red button, you don't need to hold it, and the red light comes on all around the track. Now, all this wiring goes down and heads one direction. It doesn't daisy chain from this to the next light. Why don't we put that back there? And look at this light right here. It doesn't daisy chain back to this red light, for example, or this red light. Each wire individually goes back to the circuit board. That way, this is a red light, and this is a different kind of red light. The reason I laid this out this way is because in real life, cars coming this way have to see this light.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted drivers on the far side to be able to see the red lights on over here too. So I hung these straight down. It's my own design, so that it could be visible from both sides. And notice I've done that a couple of places. There's one over there. I don't know if you can.
Yep.
There's one. Just point to it right there, so that drivers from both sides can see it. But most of the time I use the Lego block. Just shoot over here. Most of the time I just use the Lego block and set it up just like it is in real racing. And this too shifts on a magnet. It's much stiffer though. But basically it's the same sort of wiring. 4 wires go to every one of these Lego blocks with the LEDs in it. The wires come down and they go all the way to the circuit board. I'll show you what happens at the circuit board.
And tell me about the circuitry and the power supply.
Well, there's one power supply that came out of a computer that your dad got me, Ryan.
Yeah.
And it provides 3 volts on one side, no, 5 volts on one side and 12 volts on the other.
Mm-hmm.
We use the 5 volts to power the LED warning lights, the red,
Yes.
yellow, and green. So the power originates right there, and it comes to this board here, which you can barely see. It's not real important, but what that does is it allows yellow and red to override the green. And when you stop pushing the yellow or red button, it detends to just green. That's what that circuit does. The power is distributed on this circuit board.
Right.
And this is really old-fashioned technology. It's the kind of stuff that they used in the 1950s on Lionel layouts.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's where I learned it from. And the object here is to be able to troubleshoot.
Yes.
It cost me a lot more wires. You can picture all that wire? The reason there's that many wires is because everything on this track originates at this board, it goes out to the light, and comes back here.
Yes.
That
Yes.
way I can troubleshoot it. You guys can understand that, right?
Much
Yes.
much easier
Yeah.
to fix.
So from here, from this board, there's flasher units that my son Andy made. And what they do is they make the yellow lights, the green lights blink whenever I push my master button and want to stage a race. When all the green lights are blinking, that signals everybody to get their cars ready to go at the top of the hill for a race. So bottom line is I can troubleshoot anything that happens inside this area. So the wiring goes from power supply to here, from here to different zones. You see I got 8 zones,
Yeah.
and each zone is labeled. Every single LED has a label to it. And the wiring goes from here to a terminal board like this. Underneath every single warning light, the Lego with the 6 or 8 LEDs in it, go to these screws. And that way I can troubleshoot between here and the warning light.
Yes.
On this side, it goes to this terminal board. But between them, they go up to these switches. And you push the button, the red light comes on and off. In this case, I'm going to come over here. I push this red button, and you see the LED glows, so that I know what controller fired off the red lights. And if we push this yellow button and hold it, you can hear a little siren go that I explained in that documentary.
Yes.
And you can see the lights flashing. You see them? That flashing originates from that circuit board. That circuit board right there.
From down here.
Uh-huh. So if anything goes amiss, I'm able to trace it. Hold it down. That's good. And then look up the track. And then go. And then come back down and he'll do a red. Just let that go. You don't have to hold it. Yeah.
All right. That was some cool stuff, I gotta say. The electrics and all that, I'm not even gonna pretend to be an expert in that, but that, I mean,
Well,
it's mind blowing.
Honestly, I was nervous presenting it.
Yeah.
Because I'm I'm a one wire positive, the second wire negative kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know what
So
you
it
mean.
took a lot of trial and error and the help of my son to get that circuit board for flashing.
Right.
And then to lay all this out. It was just a matter of running a lot of wires and doing a lot of fine soldering.
Exactly.
And then when it comes to explaining it, it's a little bit tough. You know?
Right. Of course.
It's a labor of love.
It really is. Yeah. The lights, though, provide a level of detail that really, if you didn't have them, you know, it wouldn't feel the same. If
And
that
it
makes
helped
any
the
sense.
chaos.
That's right.
It settled things down with the kids. They can understand red, green,
Stuff.
and yellow. You know what I mean?
I remember racing here as a kid, and it'd just be screaming over each other. We didn't have the lights then. With the lights now, you hit the button, track stops. That's the rule, right?
Yes,
So
everybody knows what's going on.
yeah, it's a really cool
And
innovation.
it looks authentic too. I mean, it looks cool, especially if we do night racing.
Yeah, it does.
You
Look
get 8
cool.
cars with headlights going around.
It's pretty cool.
It's awesome.
It's
We'll have to
pretty
do that one day.
Yeah, maybe when we get that racing video finished, we'll have a little nighttime segment as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a real joy. One of my favorite tutorials to at least be a part of. Right. If you guys have any questions regarding the Lego lights, again, leave them in the comments. We're happy to answer them. If there's anything at all that you would like more detail in, perhaps how to make the model itself, we can do a quick demonstration if you'd like. Just leave a comment.
Of
right?
the Lego block.
Yeah, the Lego block itself, because we got enough lights at this point.
I'm good at that.
Yeah. If we're the lights, that's a whole other ordeal. But if you want us to show you how to bend those brake lines or do the Lego block and all that, we got you. Beside that, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this content and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see a bit more. And also leave us some suggestions in the comments about what you'd like to see as far as tutorials go. We'd like to keep doing these, so be sure to tell us what you want to see in particular, and we're happy to do it. Other than that, thank you all for joining us, and I'm going to refer to our cameraman Derek as we sign off to pan over and take a lovely look at these lights here. But other than that, signing off. Get the big light. Guard down.